I ain't joking when I say the BMW XM is a serious performance SUV. Even if this bat crazy purple one looks like something the Joker would drive. The BMW XM is the first vehicle specifically built for BMW's high-performance M division since the BMW M1 supercar of the 1970s. It's nearly as large as a BMW X7, but only has 2 rows of seats and a couple of very big claims to fame. This top-of-the-line XM Label trim might have a silly name, but it's the most powerful production BMW ever sold and the most powerful SUV in the world that has an internal combustion engine, although it gets a little help. The XM is a plug-in hybrid that combines a 4.4-liter turbocharged V8 with an electric motor sandwiched between it and an 8-speed automatic transmission. And while in the normal XM they combine for a maximum of 644 horsepower, in the Label it's 738 with 738 pound-feet of torque to go with it. On the road, the engine's rated at 577 horsepower and the electric motor 194 horsepower. But they can also operate independently. This has a battery big enough to provide up to 31 miles of all-electric driving using just the electric motor, which is rated at 207 pound-feet of torque, but has gearing that cranks it up to 332. While the XM is very much its own thing, it is built on a platform that's shared with other BMW SUVs and built alongside them at BMW's factory in Spartanburg, South Carolina, which makes this most powerful American-made SUV with an internal combustion engine, although I guess that most powerful in the world title kind of covers that too. And it has a price that's just as impressive or obnoxious as its power, depending on your perspective. The XM Label starts at $185,995, while this particular one has a couple of options that cranks it up to $191,895. So it's very much a supercar that looks like an SUV. And it has a super interior to go with it, with carbon fiber and chrome trim, dual digital displays, and some pretty spectacular upholstery all over the place. As far as the rear cabinet is concerned, BMW refers to this space as the M Lounge, and while that sounds kind of silly, it's not an exaggeration. Just look at the seat, the way it's designed with this curve, this amazing upholstery, which continues onto the doors, which are heated along with the seats. And then you've got the ceiling that has this textured pattern that's illuminated by 100 LED lights that you can change the color of. The legroom is incredible, and while the seat back doesn't adjust, I think it's set to the perfect angle. I really don't even want to drive anymore today. I'd rather just stay back here. I'm still not sure about the pillows. They don't really do anything for you for the lumbar, and I'm not sure how they work. You know, actually, that's pretty nice. I'll see you later. As far as charging is concerned, since this is a plug-in hybrid and doesn't need to be filled up quickly, it's not equipped with DC fast charging capability, just a maximum of 240 volts, which you really don't even have to use on the road since you can drive this far as you want on gasoline. But if you do want to bring a cable along, check out the fancy bag it comes in, which is a little big. Luckily, the cargo compartment is as well. All right, I guess we're good to go. With the full fury of all its motors working in concert, this will accelerate to 60 miles an hour into 3.7 seconds and hit a top speed of 175 miles per hour. There are 3 different ways to dole out the power, however. It defaults to hybrid mode, which uses the battery and the gas tank as it sees fit. All electric mode, which works up to 87 miles per hour, which is a significant figure because the highest speed limit in the country is 85 miles per hour. But then there's E-Control, which lets you maintain the state of charge in the battery pack. Now, a lot of electric vehicles let you do all of that, and the battery save mode has always seemed a little unnecessary in the United States. We don't have zero emission zones where you have to drive in electric mode. But when you're driving this in gas mode and that exhaust is cranking up, you might want to switch to electric when you come into town. The XM rides on steel springs with computer-controlled adaptive dampers, and while I have heard some people complain that it's not available with an air suspension, I'm going to be honest, I don't think it needs it. Even with this absurd 23-inch wheel and tire package that's basically got rubber bands strapped around the wheels. The ride quality is surprisingly good. I hate low profile tires, but I've driven this a couple of 100 miles, many of which have been on this awful pavement, and I really can't complain. That said, you can get a 22-inch wheel and tire package with a slightly taller sidewall as a no-cost option. This does, however, come standard with four-wheel steering that turns the rear wheels in the opposite direction of the fronts at low speeds to make the turning circle smaller, and in the same direction at high speeds to improve stability. And with a vehicle this big, I think both of those attributes come in handy. This lets you tune the way it drives a bunch of different ways. You can adjust the suspension, the steering, even the brake feel. And you get two buttons on the steering wheel here that you can program with your favorite settings. And regardless of what mode you're in, if you look at the downshift paddle, behind the wheel here it says boost. And if you hold that, it engages a boost mode that gives you everything it's got in a short burst. Because you just never know when you gotta send it. Even discounting the purple paint, not everybody loves the styling of the XM, which, to be kind, is bold. I personally kind of dig it, but remember, this competes against vehicles like the Lamborghini Urus and the Aston Martin DBX, so a big personality is a requirement. I'm generally not a huge fan of the idea of luxury performance SUVs, but this one has entirely won me over. It handles better than I expected and is a fantastic daily drive. That said, while electric mode, which I'm going to switch to right now, is more than enough to get you around during the day and zero emissions, that doesn't mean this is the greenest machine overall, because when you are in just gas mode, the fuel economy drops to 14 miles per gallon. You might not want to bring that up at your next local electric car club meeting. As far as electronic doodads are concerned, this has a head-up display and a front-facing camera with augmented reality that'll give you directions and show you how its very excellent adaptive cruise control and lane centering feature are operating. But the only problem is, if you want to adjust the following distance between you and the vehicle in front of you, instead of a button on the steering wheel or down here on the center console, you have to dig into the menus on the screen and ask it to do that. And when you're driving manually, activating and deactivating the lane departure system also requires you to go on the screen, or you can just ask the car. Activate the lane departure prevention system.
Okay, I will activate the lane departure warning.
Seems like more work than it's worth, but at least she's nice. Of course, if you like the idea of a BMW plug-in hybrid SUV, but think this is a bit much, both in price and image, there is an alternative. The xDrive X550e is another SUV built in Spartanburg with the XM that starts at $74,095. It's one size smaller, but has a 483 horsepower plug-in hybrid system that uses a 3-liter turbocharged inline 6-cylinder and is good for 39 miles of all-electric driving. It's not an M model, but you can get some M performance parts for it, plus all of the high-tech features. It's very comfortable and sporty in the BMW fashion. It's just not a starship like the XM, and doesn't come with pillows. Low with the crazy exhaust, this has some augmented interior noise. When you're in electric mode, you get this synthetic sound, but when you're in hybrid mode, it actually blends the sound of the electric motor and the internal combustion engine to create this wild thing. Now, I'm not going to try to convince anyone that something that costs $191,000 and doesn't come with a living room is anything approaching a deal, but you need to keep a product like this in perspective, and I really think that the type of person who would buy something like this would be very satisfied with it. And while it doesn't come with a living room, I guess it does come with that lounge.